Welcome, everyone, to Lighting the World with Truth. This afternoon, we have a special guest. His name is Mr. Mike Frontier. He'll introduce himself later. But I'm just going to quote one sentence here, and then you figure out what we're going to talk about. When I was a stranger, you took me in. So let's go on now with our program and see if you can fit into what we are really talking about. Mr. Mike, I'll call you Mike, okay?
Sure.
Would you please introduce yourself?
My name is Mike Frontier, and I'm currently involved in Visioning Greater Racine and the Racine Unified School Board.
Okay. You're chair of the Unified, no? School
President of the
Board?
board.
President, whatever they call it. Okay, good. Now, I think you, before we go into our topic, special topic, you want to say something about immigration, okay?
Sure.
And then we'll go into the special topic, okay?
Sure. Well, Racine has an amazing history, and in 1900, Racine was developing as a very innovative city, and it was attracting people literally from all over the world.
Wow.
And there's an amazing book called Racine, Invention City. And in reading that book, I found out that around 1900 we had immigrants from Denmark, northern countries, Scandinavia, Italy, and the stores downtown on Main Street actually had translators and signs in the stores to make the immigrants feel welcome. This is a great part of our history, innovation, creativity, and today we find that our immigrants, 50% of all new work, entrepreneur efforts are immigrants.
Look at that.
So they're adding a lot to our GDP, and this is really the history of our city
Wow.
that we hope to recapture and embrace.
So, I mean, the immigrants are just part of the life and everything else of the city, any city. Your daddy was an immigrant, wasn't he?
Actually, my mom and dad were born here, but
Oh.
both their grandparents were from Italy.
My daddy was from Italy, so
Sure,
I'm
sure.
first generation.
Yeah, my grandfather had to change his name from Frontera to Frontier so we could sell more lamps.
Is that right?
They're prejudiced against Italians, so he changed
Yeah,
the name and
yeah.
sales went up.
Look at that.
And sadly, we have to work through these phases of our...
Isn't that something that this
Sad.
is, you know? Now, let's get down to what we really want our listeners and viewers to hear about, and that is, does this immigration problem, the problem they're having now is very, very serious in our country. And you work in the schools, I mean, you know the schools so well. Does this have an effect, and if it does, what is the effect that all of this has on the children in the schools?
Okay. I'd just like to take one step back from this.
Sure, absolutely.
There's a great article by David Brooks, conservative writer in the New York Times,
Oh,
and he points out that where there's concentrations of immigrants, actually crime goes down.
would you please repeat that sentence once more?
Let me read what he says here.
Okay.
Trump plays up the alleged threat of crime committed by immigrants. And this is a quote from David Brooks. But the overall evidence is clear. Immigrants make American streets safer. Roughly 1.6% of immigrants, males between ages 18 and 39, wind up incarcerated, compared with 3.3% of Native Americans, native-born Americans, of men of the same age. Among native-born men without a high school diploma, about 11% were incarcerated. Among similarly educated Mexicans, only 2 or 3% get incarcerated. So there's this perception that, sadly, some people want to convey, I think, to promote fear, and actually, many of the immigrant families in Racine bring stability to our neighborhood. We have some houses in Racine going for, believe it or not, $3,000, $5,000. Mrs. Villa, real estate lady,
Yeah.
Casas Baradas.
Uh-huh.
And who do you think is buying these houses and fixing them up and making our neighborhoods more stable? Imagine if those houses were empty, boarded up.
Oh.
So our immigrants who come here, and by the way, fewer and fewer are coming here, as Mr. Brooks points out. The total flow of immigrants peaked in the United States in 2005,
Oh.
and has been dropping ever since. The share of immigrants coming from Latin America is falling sharply. So there's perceptions that we're being overrun at the border. These are misguided. We need to do, as the Dominican sisters know, and I talked to Paul Ryan about, is change and create fair immigration policies.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the pressure this puts on families.
Yes, please do that. Yes.
Let's say we have a young man who's undocumented and is 18 years old. And believe me, I know kids like this. They've gone through our schools.
Yes.
His younger brother was born here. This young man, who's on DACA now, Deferred Action for Children, Childhood Arrivals,
Okay.
is not a citizen. His little brother, having born here, is a citizen. So if this young man wants to become a citizen, now count this up with me, all right, sister? You're
Okay.
good at math.
Oh, not so good.
His
but
brother's
anyhow.
10, so before his brother can advocate for him, he has to wait 11 years till he's 21. Now there's a
Oh.
backlog of 15 years of doing the paperwork.
Oh, my goodness.
And I've talked to Paul Ryan about this, and he thought we could speed this up, but I've not seen any effort to do that. So now that we're 26 years, then there's a penalty for having come here illegally.
Illegally.
Could be 5 to 10 years. Now we're up, let's say 7 years. Now we're 33 years. And then this young man who's now 18, we'd add 33, he'd be 51 years old before he could reside here safely.
Legally.
And right now, this young man that I have in mind is getting a scholarship to the Lubar School of Business in Milwaukee
Uh-huh.
and is on his way to becoming a financial planner
Imagine.
and buying a home here and
Yeah.
supporting his parents. So the tragedy really of immigration in the United States is a broken immigration policy that put pressure on our families. And thankfully, our past president has provided a way these young people can get driver's license, can go to work and school in Milwaukee without fearing being arrested.
Arrested.
So, and these are all pressures. And here's the saddest story of all, sister.
Oh, right.
Let's say that I came here from Mexico.
Okay.
I came here from Oaxaca, okay?
Okay.
And my twin brother stayed in Oaxaca.
All right.
Because of the stress on my life, I will live 3 or 4 years less than my brother would have stayed there. Can you imagine living? It's like living in a coal mine without a flashlight. You know, you could make a mistake and wind up in the deportation center in Kenosha, and before you know it, you're in Juarez. So what does that do to families? Now I want to get at the function of being a principal and being on the school
Yeah,
board.
yes,
Learning is hard enough when we're focused.
exactly. We know that.
But
don't
we all know about families in our town whose someone knocked on the door. Maybe there was an offense of some kind. Maybe it was something as trivial as a minor traffic infraction, and you didn't pay your fine or something. You could wind up being deported.
Yes.
And so our families in Racine, our Hispanic families and other ethnicities are aware of this, and that stress. I'm going to school today. Maybe I won't see mommy or daddy when I come home. Takes away from their energy, their focus. So clearly, if we really care about the values that this country was built on, we need to embrace immigration reform. And we've talked to Congressman Ryan, who's very conversant in this, and we hope that our congressman will put this on the agenda. So that's important that we put pressure on it.
Exactly. When you think back to this country, this is how we were founded. I mean,
Absolutely.
we are the only real American is the Native American. I mean, we're all immigrants here,
That's
you
true.
know.
That's true.
And it's that beautiful, that diversity, you know, in immigration, have all different people of all different
Right.
races and color. It's like a mosaic. I've talked about
That's
that
true.
before on one of our other programs.
Right.
You know, with our country's a mosaic, which is beautiful, you know, and you know, having all this terrible, and then calling them aliens. If I remember, aliens are funny looking people that don't exist, you know. Why they even use that horrible term,
Yeah.
you know. So I mean, this is a very serious thing. Well, so here we have the problem. Is there any kind of, how should I say, reform that we can do or put into action or something?
Well, the Voz de la Frontera is working closely with the Racine Interfaith Coalition,
Oh, yes.
and there's a task force on the Racine Interfaith Coalition led by Sister Joyce Quintana. Hermana, see?
Yeah.
And just like many of the great things from Racine, the Dominican sisters are at the forefront of it. And they're working with Linda Boyle and some great folks on that committee. And they just met with the police department to explain how immigration affects the lives of our kids. Many police officers were not aware of what DACA meant. A lot of people don't know what DACA.
Would you explain once more DACA?
Sure, DACA.
It's
Let me,
DACA,
that
yeah.
acronym is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals.
Okay,
So let's say a child came here when he was 7 years old with his parents over the border, and it wasn't his choice to do that.
yeah,
So President Obama created a 2-year window where these young men and women who are now maturing, and if they've been in the country since they came here, they have a clean record, and they're attended school and have a good record, they can get what's called a 2-year deferment, which gives them a social security number, ability to get a driver's license,
all right,
and to contribute without living in the fear that their parents have to live in.
yeah.
So DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, very important law that honors the more than 7 million youngsters.
Wow, 7 million.
I'm sorry, I think it's 700,000. Excuse me,
700,000.
700,000
Still too many.
kids that are living with that. The dreamers, that's another word for them.
Yeah,
They dream and want to be citizens, and these students, young people, feel more American than Mexican. I mean, this is where their roots are.
mhm,
So I'm very pleased that the Racine Interfaith Coalition, and they also made presentations in our schools to all the teachers in January
oh, they
to
did,
acquaint them with the law and the status of these
oh,
families.
they met with the
There was a staff development day, and that
Oh,
was part of
okay.
the presentation.
oh, wonderful.
It is. So
Yeah.
we're thankful for Rick and all their initiative. Rick, again, is Racine Interfaith Coalition.
Yes. I mean, just think of the people that are really devoting themselves to make this something beautiful in reality, you know, and spending their lives and their efforts and their energy and everything else on this, you know. And then when when you think of the poor children in school, that, as you said, that that fear,
Yeah, fear.
and I mean, that must be, how do you concentrate in school when maybe my mama won't be there when I get home, or my daddy won't be there when I get home? I mean, that's no joke here.
Yeah. Tengo miedo, huh?
Yeah,
Fear.
yeah. So I mean, that is so important. Is there anything else you'd like to stress to our viewers, our listeners, on this? Would you like to give them a challenge, or whatever you want
Well,
to call
I
it?
would say that Visioning Greater Racine is an effort to have folks in our community share their vision for what Racine would look like in 2030.
Would you explain visioning?
Yeah. Visioning Greater Racine grew out of an effort that was done in Chattanooga and Rockford to rebuild their cities. Rockford, 5 or 6 years ago, was designated as the 4th worst city in America. Their tourist motto was, "Misery loves company."
Oh my.
It was hurting. And they conducted a model that was done in Chattanooga, and several folks from Racine went there. It involves listening sessions throughout the community, and we're up to 900 folks that participated. We want to have another 1,000. And these sessions, if you go to Visioning Greater Racine, you'll see when these sessions are. And they're diverse. We bring in African American, Hispanic friends and youth. When you meet folks across these cultural lines, you realize we're all in this together. They all want a better Racine community. I think that's the first part of immigration reform, is getting to know folks of a different culture and realizing their strengths are our strengths. So that would be my challenge to our listeners or viewers. Join a session on Visioning Greater Racine. You can sign up online there. They last about an hour and a half, and they'll help create a town that will make Racine a beacon, I think, for our country with all our diversity, our challenges. All cities have these challenges, and this could be a way we embrace your ideas and makes this city all it can be.
Now that visioning, how do they do that how do they sign up? Whether they have to,
You can go online to
Yeah.
Visioning Greater Racine. There's a website, and they'll show you the dates
Oh.
where these next events are.
okay,
They're usually in the evening, and they last about an hour and a half. And you're just asked to share your ideas about what might improve Racine.
okay.
From fewer parking meters to more activities. And then next fall, we'll unveil all the ideas that came out, and we'll put those in categories, and we'll create task force to implement these ideas.
Wow, okay. this sounds, I mean, this is really a plan that looks very probable, you know. and very
Yes, it's
functional.
hopeful, and it's got an endorsement from mayor and the county executive. In
Oh,
fact, it's calling
good.
this, and this is for folks east of the I, basically the Racine Unified
Oh,
School District.
This part, okay,
And county executive Delagrave
yeah,
has declared this the year of visioning.
the year of this beautiful, the
So
year of
we'd
vision.
like Sturtevant, Mount Pleasant,
Mhm.
Caledonia to all share their in this. And
Yeah, wonderful,
we're all one community.
okay, all right. Well, is there one last message you just would like to leave, just maybe a sentence or
Well,
something?
I would just say that I'm sitting here at St. Patrick's Church, and it's John the 23rd School,
Yes,
and right across the street here in 1861, Dominican sisters came here
yeah,
with a dream to make this town better. Here we are.
and they worked with immigrants from Germany.
That's right, 150 years later, and where would this town be without their visioning and their, so we're in the midst of challenges here because of our economy, but we have to think beyond the moment, and like the Dominican sisters who brought so much love and care and structure, like the healthcare network, like the vocational ministries. So many of these ideas came from people who care about this town. And let's face it, that's one of the great things we're seeing, are the many caring people that we see every day.
Exactly. Well, I really want to thank you so much, Mike, for your wonderful, wonderful contribution here. And I'm sure our viewers and listeners are, you know, taking this all in, and I hope that they, you know, take on action. I just want to close with a quote of what's written on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. Not too many people know what it says there. And here is Emma Lazarus wrote this in 1883, and to help raise funds for the construction of that whole pedestal on which the Statue of Liberty stands. And it says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." And so, my dear listeners, thank you for listening to us and being part of this. And remember, once you know the truth, you are responsible for it. Thank you, and blessing.